What's going on, guys? I'm Jay the Black. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. Apparently, the Lakers owner, Jeanie Buss, some old tweets of her have surfaced of her being thirsty for NBA players. Now, I actually did a video about Jeanie Buss and her quote-unquote flirting with Michael Jordan. I'll link that video in the description box, and it might be relevant to this particular commentary. And I would not doubt that Jeanie Buss is attracted to maybe certain guys in the NBA. There was a rumor that her and Kyle Kuzma might have been sneaking around. Now, I'm not here to confirm that, but that was a rumor. That was why it was so difficult for the Lakers to trade Kyle Kuzma. There was talk that LeBron wanted him out of there, but he ended up always seemingly staying whenever they did make trades. And that had a lot to do with Jeanie Buss. She did not want Kyle Kuzma to go. He was one of her favorites. Okay, so it doesn't surprise me that these tweets are resurfacing of her being thirsty for these guys. I mean, she was in a long-term relationship with Phil Jackson. There was talk that she may even was going to marry him, but I don't think that was going to happen. You know, you can't be out here marrying these Western women like that. Well, let's get into this article from Fadeaway World. It says, Jeanie Buss' old tweets about NBA players were wild and thirsty. Kevin Durant has those extra long arms like Phil Jackson. They come in handy. You see, if a male NBA owner, NFL owner said that about female athletes that they were watching on TV or at an event, you know, I don't think they will be allowed the same leeway, but we're going to get into this. Jeanie Buss made headlines last Sunday when she decided to lead the Los Angeles Lakers New Orleans Pelicans game at Crypto.com Arena amid a blowout loss for the purple and gold. Just like her, the rest of Lakers faithful are growing impatient with the team. They can't get things done, and many people believe the front office needs to make big moves to improve their performance. Isn't that what they did during the offseason? Look at all the ego they brought in that organization. This won't happen this season, but the summer will bring a lot of challenges for the 17-time NBA champions. Meanwhile, Buss has been making headlines on social media somehow. NBA fans decided to dig up Buss' old tweets, finding some interesting things the 60-year-old used to send. Wild tweets while talking about NBA players, young stars like Kevin Durant, Kevin Love, and more were subject of Buss' tweets. You know what's crazy? The reason why I think that this is all coming to light now is due to the fact that apparently she stood up to LeBron James a few days ago. That was a report. And now all of a sudden you see these old tweets being dug up. I don't know if it was LeBron James fans that did it, but it's kind of weird how she had this reported falling out with LeBron James, and then all of a sudden her old tweets come out. People want to dig up her being thirsty for NBA players. Now all of a sudden. Right here, says just about to start. Kobe looks hot in new Black Mamba t-shirt. On the bus headed to Staples. CP3 isn't playing tonight. She says he's a cutie. Kevin Durant has those extra long arms like Phil Jackson. They come in handy. You talk about thirst. Lamar, take your pants off. We scream as he checks into the game. I think she's talking about Lamar Odom. The Minnesota T-Wolves are now my second favorite NBA team, and that has nothing to do with you, Kevin Love, even though you're hot. Met Johnny Flynn of Minnesota Timberwolves before the game. If I had a number one pick, I would draft him. She says it's because he's a cutie. This sounds like a teenager. This sounds like a teenager who is talking about every attractive guy she comes across in her diary. Just met Kevin Love from UCLA Timberwolves. He may replace Tony Parker as the hottest guy in the NBA. Jeanie Buss was a little thotty back in the day. Oh, y'all don't know the half of it. Let me say this about Jeanie Buss. When I was looking up Jeanie Buss, right, pictures or whatnot, and I came across her Playboy photos from '95. And you talk about IG OnlyFans model before there were OnlyFans, because you had to pay, I believe, to get those Playboy magazines back in the day. You still probably do now, of course. But she is posing with the NBA ball at the NBA arena. She's posing in hockey gear with nothing underneath. Like, she's just showing all her assets, even though she didn't really have much assets. She's just showing everything. She's showing the frontal. She's showing the back. And this was, now mind you, this was during the time her father was the owner. Dr. Jerry Buss was the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. She decides that she's going to go and pose in Playboy. This was, she was back in her prime back in the 90s. Okay? And now she is the owner and the president of the Los Angeles Lakers, and people wonder where these tweets come from, because that's who she is. She might have a little freak in her. I would not doubt that whatsoever. Just because she's gotten older does not mean she's not that same woman that did all those pictures for Playboy. Lakers owner Jeanie Buss was a wild bird back in the day. Those extra long arms come in handy. Even Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan were mentioned by Buss, who decided who was more handsome between his airness and the Black Mamba. Of course, fans had a big reaction to those tweets, but these are old messages. A lot of water has passed under the bridge, and Jeanie is in a relationship now. Still, who doesn't have old tweets that make a lot of people laugh? But for Jeanie, however, this is different. She allegedly dated Dennis Rodman back in the day and had a relationship with Phil Jackson too. The Lakers are in a complex position right now. Without a play-in tournament, they would be out of the playoffs. This season has been a nightmare for the 2020 NBA champions, who are 7 games under 500 mark. Buss, Rob Pelinka, and company need to find a solution to this issue, or things will get a lot worse for the franchise. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook have been criticized this year, but the front office is also responsible for the team struggling this season because the team has no chemistry. The Lakers have absolutely no chemistry. So of course there's going to be struggles. Again, we are basically, this is nothing more than, I would say, a distraction. This whole, digging up her tweets could be one big distraction that was orchestrated. If I'm putting, putting on my conspiracy theory hat, this could all be a way to distract us from the failures of the front office. We don't know yet, but ultimately she wants to be her father. She wants to have the same success he had when he was the owner of the team. They did win a championship in 2020, but they're struggling now because they don't know how to build a championship team. If the Toronto Raptors showed you anything a couple of years ago, it is that you don't need to bring in a bunch of egos. You really don't. You don't need to bring in a bunch of players that used to be great, or bring in players that might be injury prone, or players looking for a second chance. You need to bring in players that are ready to win. Now, let me say this about Jeanie Buss. There has been rumors about her. They say she's in a relationship now, which is fine, but I believe she is who she is. I have no doubt she's probably had relations with players over the years, not just dated, because we know women can have relations with a guy and never date that guy. So if she's thirsty in tweets, just imagine how she was back in the day, the 80s, the 90s, when there was no social media. I mean, she did post for Playboy. So you can only imagine her being around these athletic guys who she's probably attracted to, especially dudes with long arms. And I can totally believe that she has had her fair share of flings that we'll never know about, and that she was very thirsty for these guys and flirtatious with these guys. I have no doubt whatsoever. You put certain women into these particular positions, they don't really know how to conduct themselves. And that's why we're talking about her tweets instead of the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers is looking like a failure. You bring in Russell Westbrook, you bring in Carmelo Anthony, and the team is still struggling because you have no chemistry at the top. And unfortunately for her, she's basically running that team. She's responsible for the people that are brought in there. She's responsible for okaying the trades. And I think that when you look at everything, the Lakers are a mess from the top down. I can believe that. I can believe that they're just in disarray. They're a mess, and it starts at the top. It really does. So let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all next one.